The story of how Roberto De Zerbi's influence helped land Sandro Tonali as Tottenham's record signing, with the Italian coach being intrinsic to his transfer. Spurs fans could expect another massive incoming transfer soon, as reports claim that Tottenham close in on another blockbuster signing as De Zerbi teases a transfer bomber. And Roberto De Zerbi eases Fernandez injury fears ahead of the Chelsea clash. Here are your daily Tottenham news headlines. Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name's Craig and here are your daily Tottenham news headlines, where I'll be going through all the latest news, rumours and reports. If you're watching on YouTube and are not already as yet subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. Like, share and comment below. And if you're listening on an audio platform, please hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. And please make sure you turn on the notification bell so you get notified whenever we go live or upload a video to the channel. And one final request, if you do get a spare moment, please do nominate and vote for us at the 2026 Football Content Awards. All of the details are below. Your support, as always, is really appreciated. Okay, let's get into it. Tottenham Hotspur's club record move for Sandro Tonali was not sealed in a boardroom or through lengthy negotiations alone. According to Football.London, the decisive factor was Roberto De Zerbi, whose personal relationship with the Italian midfielder and ambitious vision for Spurs convinced the Newcastle United star that North London was the right destination for the next stage of his career. Although Tottenham were prepared to spend £100 million to secure one of Europe's finest midfielders, the article explains that money was only part of that equation. Tonali admitted that a conversation with De Zerbi proved to be magic, with the Spurs head coach outlining exactly how he planned to build the team around the 26-year-old. The pair share strong ties to Brescia, where both have deep connections, allowing De Zerbi to appeal not only to Tonali's footballing ambitions, but also to his personal values. The report reveals that De Zerbi sold Tonali a vision rather than simply a transfer. The Italian coach explained how Tottenham were embarking on a major rebuild and made it clear that the midfielder would become the heartbeat of his new-look side. Rather than being another expensive signing, Tonali was presented as a player who would dictate games, control possession and become one of the team's leaders both on and off the pitch. Tonali admitted he had initially considered returning to Serie A, believing a move back to Italy would be the natural next step in his career. However, financial realities made such a switch difficult, while De Zerbi's project at Spurs quickly became impossible to ignore. The opportunity to work with a coach he admired, coupled with the chance to remain in the Premier League, ultimately changed his thinking. The article also highlights that there was significant interest from elsewhere, with Manchester City among the clubs credited with monitoring Tonali's situation. Despite that competition, Tottenham's proposal stood out because of the clarity of De Zerbi's plans and the relationship he had built with the player long before negotiations formally began. Tonali stressed that his departure from Newcastle should not be viewed negatively. He spoke warmly of his time at St James's Park, praising Eddie Howe, his teammates and the supporters, while insisting the decision was about embracing a new challenge rather than escaping an old one. He also acknowledged the importance of securing the best possible outcome for Newcastle during negotiations. Now settled at Tottenham, Tonali believes De Zerbi's possession-based style is perfectly suited to his strengths. Comfortable operating as a deep-lying playmaker or a box-to-box midfielder, he feels the tactical freedom offered by his compatriot will allow him to reach another level. Early pre-season sessions have already focused on building chemistry with his new teammates as Spurs continue their ambitious summer rebuild. The article concludes that Tottenham's record-breaking investment was about far more than purchasing an elite midfielder. It represented a statement of intent from the club and another sign of De Zerbi's growing influence behind the scenes. Having already persuaded one of Europe's most sought-after midfielders to buy into his long-term vision, the Spurs boss has demonstrated that his reputation and personality can be just as important as the size of the transfer fee in attracting world-class talent to North London. The Standard report that Tottenham Hotspur are on the verge of completing yet another major signing before the transfer window closes, with head coach Roberto De Zerbi revealing the club's ambitious summer rebuild is far from complete. Despite already spending around £237 million on 6 new arrivals, De Zerbi and his Spurs have completed only 60% of their transfer plans and promised supporters that another Bomba signing is edging closer. The North London club have already smashed their transfer record fee twice this summer, bringing in Sandro Tonali for £100 million after securing Fernandez in an £85 million deal. Defender Jan-Paul van Hecke also arrived for £52 million, while Andy Robertson, Marco Senesi and Martin Dubravka joined on free transfers, giving De Zerbi a squad packed with fresh quality. However, the Italian coach has made it clear he's not satisfied with his squad just yet. Speaking after Tottenham's latest pre-season outing, De Zerbi confirmed that another high-profile addition is firmly on the agenda. When I want one player, I become like a shark, he explained. The transfer market isn't finished. We've completed around 60% of our project. Now we have another bomber. I hope it will happen soon, but it's not finished yet. Standard Sport reports that Tottenham remain firmly interested in Manchester City winger Savinho, who has reportedly informed City he wants to leave in search of regular first-team football. The Brazilian has long been admired by Spurs and remains one of the club's leading attacking targets, although De Zerbi's comments suggest the mystery signing could even be a different player altogether. The Tottenham boss made it clear that strengthening his attack is now the priority. While the midfield and defence have undergone a major transformation this summer already, De Zerbi believes his side still needs more firepower if they are to compete at the top end of the Premier League. He stressed that any new winger must fit perfectly into his tactical philosophy rather than simply being the biggest available name. For De Zerbi, every attacking player must complement the team's fullbacks, who play a crucial role in his possession-based system. Explaining his thinking, De Zerbi said there are many different types of wingers and each profile changes the way a team attacks. He wants a player capable of working in harmony with his overlapping fullbacks while also increasing Tottenham's goal threat. The Italian was particularly complimentary about his current defensive options, describing Pedro Porro as the best right-back in the world and praising Destiny Udogie, Andy Robertson and Jed Spence. He believes having elite fullbacks means any incoming winger must possess the intelligence and qualities to maximise their influence rather than restrict them. De Zerbi also admitted that goals remain the biggest area requiring improvement. While he expects his possession-based football to naturally create more chances, he wants attackers who can consistently convert opportunities and provide an extra edge in the final third. He also highlighted the importance of improving Tottenham's aerial threat and effectiveness from set pieces as part of the squad's continued evolution. With several weeks of the transfer window still remaining, Tottenham's spending spree appears far from over. Whether the next arrival is Savinho or another surprise target, De Zerbi's message was clear. Spurs are continuing their aggressive rebuild and supporters should expect at least one more headline-grabbing signing before the deadline. Football.London report that Tottenham Hotspur head coach Roberto De Zerbi has moved quickly to reassure supporters after fears emerged that Fernandez had suffered a serious injury during the club's pre-season tour of Australia. The £85 million midfielder was absent from Tottenham's squad for the friendly against Sydney FC, prompting speculation over his fitness. However, De Zerbi confirmed there is no major concern, revealing Fernandez is simply suffering from fatigue and a minor calf issue, with the decision taken not to risk him as part of the club's careful pre-season workload management. The Italian coach stressed that the injury is not serious and insisted the Portuguese international should return to training in the coming days. Tottenham's medical staff opted for caution rather than taking unnecessary risks with one of the club's marquee summer signings, particularly with the new Premier League campaign fast approaching. De Zerbi also provided a wider fitness update on his squad ahead of the upcoming pre-season meeting with Chelsea. Several players continue to work their way back from injury, although the Spurs boss believes the overall picture is improving as the squad edges closer to full strength. While Fernandez was unavailable, De Zerbi was encouraged by the progress being made by a number of his senior stars. The manager explained that every decision is being made with a long-term season in mind rather than chasing results in friendly matches, insisting player fitness remains the club's top priority. The article also highlights how Tottenham's extensive summer recruitment has increased competition for places, allowing De Zerbi the flexibility to rotate his squad throughout pre-season. With several new arrivals bedding into his possession-based system, the Italian is keen to ensure every player reaches peak fitness before the Premier League gets underway. Fernandez's absence briefly sparked fears among supporters, given Tottenham's recent struggles with injuries, but the club have now made it clear there is no significant setback. Instead, the midfielder's omission was a precautionary measure, with Spurs confident he will soon be able and available to resume training and continue preparing for his debut season in North London. Okay, here's my thoughts on those stories today. Firstly, the one about Tonali and De Zerbi. They actually met before the season, or spoke before last season finished. Obviously, close links with Brescia. Do read the full report in football.london. It is a fascinating article as to how this transfer unfolded. Looks like Tonali did have options, but it seems like De Zerbi's pull was huge, and we kind of knew that at the time. We knew there was from the same small area of Italy, and that really does link to individuals. That bond is very strong, and it proved to be the case. And De Zerbi's conversations with Tonali, I think it was through an intermediary, somebody that knew both of them, quickly met up, quickly spoke, and the transfer unfolded. And within a couple of hours, Tonali realised that his place should be in North London, working under Roberto De Zerbi. So it really was a fascinating transfer. How this got done didn't seem to be the case that anybody else really was in the race. Manchester City obviously looked at the player, and Tonali himself said he was thinking about going back to Italy, but money was a problem, as we all know, for Serie A clubs. Couldn't compete with Spurs, but De Zerbi, don't underestimate De Zerbi's influence in this transfer. It was huge. And it just goes to show every player that's been coming in has been looking forward to working under our head coach, Roberto De Zerbi, and that's huge for Spurs. We didn't necessarily get that under Thomas Frank last season, and it's just a massive change for the club, and a really good one in my opinion as well, because if players want to play for a certain coach, then that's half the battle a lot of the time. And looks like we're going to be hopefully getting some strengthening players coming in to strengthen the forward positions in the coming weeks, hopefully before the season starts. And that's what Roberto De Zerbi has hinted at in his press conference, another transfer bomber. Now, this isn't apparently talking about Savinio. This is about somebody else. And everybody's been speculating online in WhatsApp groups. Who could this player be? Is this somebody way out of left field that nobody's thought of? Is this something they've managed to keep firmly under wraps and keep away from the press? Obviously, remember the Odebear transfer. Excuse me, that came out of nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. And about an hour before that was, we got the here we go on that from Fabrizio Romano. That nobody knew about that. It's increasingly difficult, of course, to keep transfers under wraps. It's not like the old days, and in some ways I prefer the old days, like in the 80s and 90s, where you just read about a transfer on the back page of the newspaper, a bit like the Klinsmann transfer when he's standing on the back of a yacht in Monaco Harbour with Alan Sugar. I kind of miss them days sometimes, but it's going to be interesting who this player is. As I say, it's not Savinio. De Zerbi was talking about somebody else. So who is this player? Could be Ferran Torres, but there's rumours it could be Ferran Torres. There's rumours it could be Marcus Rashford. Could be somebody completely else that nobody's even thought about. It is rare that a player comes into a club without any rumours leaking. It's just the way of the world nowadays. But who do you think it is? Because I just don't know. I don't know. I mean, or was this Roberto De Zerbi's way of forcing the club's hand again, a really clever way of doing it? Was it a way to force, Johan Langer's hand and Vinay's hand to ease it the fact that they haven't got anybody in the pipeline, and De Zerbi saying, look, I've said it now, we need players and you're going to look stupid if you don't get somebody in. So it could be an interesting tactic from De Zerbi. I don't think that is the case. I think they are working on somebody big in the background, but let's see how this one plays out. As I say, absolutely fascinating to hear, and who it will be. Perhaps we'll find out in the coming days. Who knows? And finally, the Fernandez update about his injury situation. That is good news. There was rumours circulating, as they always do online, that it was a serious injury. Doesn't appear to be the case. Just a minor calf strain, and they're managing the players' minutes. Why risk him? Absolutely, why risk him? We've got, 35 players out on the pre-season tour. They're there for Roberto De Zerbi to have a look at. We know all about Fernandez. There's other games to come. There's more big games to come. So let's rest these players. Absolutely no point in forcing them to play minutes when they don't need to. So there's good news on the Fernandez front. Really looking forward to next season and hopefully seeing Fernandez and Tonali in that midfield. With who knows? Is it going to be James Maddison in that number 10 role? Is Dejan Kulusevski going to be back? Are we going to buy in somebody else that can play in that 10 role? We've got Javi Simmons to come back as well, of course, later in the year or perhaps January. So we seem to be well stocked in those areas in that midfield, but still need strengthening up front. And as De Zerbi said, let's all hope for a transfer bomber in the coming days. That's all from me today. Get down in the comments, let me know how you're feeling as a Tottenham Hotspur fan right now, or your thoughts on any of the stories today in this video. And as always, come on you Spurs.